Controlling the incidence of aphids. In this radio program, we are going to talk about simple actions that small-scale farmers can take to control aphids on their farms. The program will specifically talk about how to identify aphid presence on your farm. Then the program will also look at how to overcome aphids on your farm, and finally how to prevent aphids from attacking your crops. You may ask yourself, what are aphids? Aphids, also known as plant lice, are small plant-eating insects that look like tiny black, yellow or green or white grains of rice. Aphids suck the juices of new growth on plant stems and leaves. Damage due to aphids could include deformed leaves, flowers or fruits, wilting, weak plant and plant death. Aphids serve as vectors of disease and will readily transfer fungus and other pathogens from one plant to another. They normally manifest themselves as black patches on leaves, especially on the underside of the leaves and around stems. Aphids are commonly found on oranges and lemons, cabbages, lettuce, beans, groundnuts, most vegetables and other plants. Their biting and piercing mouth parts allow bacteria and other contaminants to be passed on into the plant, and this exposes disease to the new plant. Many of the plants that are attacked by aphids cannot survive both the feeding activity of the aphids and the new diseases that the aphids will inject into them. Therefore, it is important that farmers don't underestimate the strength of these aphids. They are small and fragile insects, easy to kill, but due to their unique reproductive capabilities, they can present a persistent problem. Their chewing and piercing mouth parts will cause stress and damage to plant life. Disease can spread by aphids because the honeydew they secrete can attract a lot of other insects in and around the garden and weaken the plants, thus becoming susceptible to heat, drought and other stresses during the growing season. For these reasons, farmers need to address aphid infestations with intent to eliminate them and keep them away for good. Therefore, it is important that in this radio program, farmers learn the simple actions that can be taken to control aphids on their farm. Especially, this program will address how farmers can identify that aphids are present on their farm, and then the program will also give recommendations on how to overcome aphids once they are found available on your farm, and also how farmers can prevent aphids from attacking your crops in the first place. So how is it possible to identify aphid presence on your farm? Aphids normally manifest as black patches on the leaves, especially on the underside of the leaves and around stems. They cause wrinkles on the leaves of plants as a secondary infection and may encompass the new green growth of any plant they can find. Aphids feeding will deplete the lifeblood of the plant, causing leaves to curl up or to wrinkle and die. Therefore, when farmers see black patches or around the leaves and take a closer look to identify tiny insects in a colony, it is possible that these could be aphids. So once identified, how then can farmers overcome aphids on their farms? Basically, there are three things that farmers can do. Three recommendations that have been found useful in controlling aphids. And one is the use of least toxic sprays and chemicals. The other is applying insecticidal dusts. And the third is using sprayable concentrates. Let us look at these three in some detail. How can farmers use least toxic sprays and chemicals to control aphids? It's very simple. Farmers may use non-insecticidal products to spray infested plants. For example, when you get a sachet of Omo from the shop, 250 grams of Omo from the shop, and mix it with 10 liters of water to form a soapy solution, and this water is then sprayed on the infested plants, the soapy water will have the effect of suffocating and killing the aphids. This is one of the simplest ways of controlling aphid growth on plants, and it has been found to be effective. The other way is applying insecticidal dusts. How do these work? Dusting plants has long been a proven way to get good coverage, good control, and long-lasting results. Using insecticidal dusts like deltamethrin dust is very important in controlling such outbreaks of aphids. Deltamethrin dust is a great product to use when controlling aphids. If you have fruit or vegetable plants you need to treat, use permethrin dust to treat them. Permethrin dust is just as effective, although it won't last as nearly long as deltamethrin dust. All these dusts are important to be applied on plants. The other way we have seen is to use sprayable concentrates. Insecticide concentrates, which are mixed with water and applied with a sprayer, will offer the quickest and most efficient control once you have intense aphid activity. Use permethrin concentrate. This odorless material can be sprayed directly on any part of the plant and will last about 7 days for every application. It has the effect of completely destroying aphids and rendering your plants free from aphid activity. Now, we have seen the 3 ways that we can use to control aphids. But as you know, prevention is always better than control. It is important that farmers learn how to prevent aphids from attacking their crops in the first place. And therefore, we want to discuss ways that farmers can be able to not only detect but also prevent aphids from attacking their crops. It is important that aphids are controlled before they build very large colonies that may be difficult or very expensive to control. Since aphids will become active while it is still cold, many farmers have a tendency to wait too long before detecting them. It is important that farmers do not wait long for aphids to get to the plants before they take preventive measures. One common measure that farmers could use is the aphid trap. What is an aphid trap? An aphid trap is a yellow trap that is littered with glue, a light glue, and the choice of the color yellow is to attract the aphids to it, and the aphids will stick to the glue, which kills them. The trap's bright yellow color normally attracts females that are looking to lay eggs to start new colonies. It is important that farmers set out these traps on plants which they want to protect, so that foraging aphids will readily be lured onto the sticky glue, which is a trap that eventually kills them. Once established on plants, it is important that farmers use insecticidal soap, permethrin dust or permethrin concentrate, or any food plant which must be treated. Any food plant that must be treated should be applied with insecticidal soap, permethrin dust, or permethrin concentrate. For non-produce plants and trees, you can use any of the strong concentrates to get a quick knockdown. It is recommended that you add Nyla if you want to break the aphid cycle for good during the growing season. Farmers have to remember to periodically inspect their fields for signs of aphid activity. It is important that any aphid activity is detected in its early stages so that the aphids can be destroyed once and for all. This kind of measure is important to avoid having to deal with a heavy aphid infestation at a later stage. So we have seen that it is important that farmers overcome aphids on their farms. We have looked at 3 recommendations that they can follow to control aphids by using non-toxic sprays like Omo and mixing it with water and spraying this on the plants to suffocate the aphids. We have seen that farmers can also use insecticidal dust like deltamethrin or permethrin to deal with aphids, or in most extreme cases use sprayable concentrates like permethrin concentrate to be able to control aphids. The program has also discussed the importance of preventing aphids from attacking the crops in the first place. We have seen that you can use an aphid trap, but also recognize the importance of farmers periodically scouting their fields to inspect signs of aphid activity in the early stages. This is important to curb aphids before they multiply and build up into heavy infestations that are going to be difficult to control and expensive to control at a later time. All listeners are encouraged to tell other farmers what they have heard and learned in this radio program. The radio program has been produced by the Rural Empowerment Network, REN, with the financial assistance of the Technical Center for Agricultural and Rural Cooperation, City.